We're going to move on, though, to Manchester United, who are facing Sunderland this weekend. And Ruben Amorim insisted the system and formation he plays is not the reason Manchester United are losing games.
I don't look the way we concede goals, the way we create chances. If there is nothing to do with the system, that is my opinion. And I'm not saying that this team would play better in the different system or not. That is not my point. My point is, if I look the games that we didn't win, the most important thing that when I watch the game is not we lost because of the system. That is my opinion. Then people have different opinions. That's okay.
It's not because of the system. I know that this will divide many, maybe even here. What do we think? Is it the system?
Well, he's a manager who's backing his beliefs. And, it looks like he's lived by the sword and died by the sword. He's not going to change the way that he sets up. He's not going to change the way that he plays. And I think it's what will be, will be. Do I think they need to change? Everyone's screaming yes. If you look at the players that they can set up, and you've got Owen, you've got Fernandes, you've got Sesko who can play down the middle on the right, So I think there's many different ways of playing, but he's backing his beliefs, he's backing himself and saying it's his way or no way.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I don't really care about the system. They need to win more games. We've seen teams win with that system. Chelsea, Conte won the league with that. I played in the Bayern Munich team in 2001. We won the Champions League with that. It's not new. Glasner's done an incredible job with that formation. But you'd have to say the formation isn't really getting wins. And I think I understand where he's coming from, where he's saying the goals, especially at Brentford, they were just long balls. But the problem is the team's really high. If you look at the way Palace play, it's quite a counter-attacking system. They're quite deep and they hit you in transition, same way Chelsea did under Conte. I think if you play too aggressively and you're too high, puts a pressure on the back line. So, look, against Sunderland, this is a huge game because they've been amazing. They don't concede many goals. Sunderland, they'll defend and they'll hit in transition. So he just needs to find a way. Forget the formation. He's not going to change that. We know that. He had great success with that at Sporting, but he hasn't here. But they need to find a way to win games. They're not winning enough games, and that's why there's criticism.
Yeah, you mentioned when we were talking about Liverpool being without Alisson, that they have a great backup goalkeeper. Manchester United don't necessarily have that option. Their first-choice goalkeeper, Bayender, has made some high-profile mistakes this season, Owen.
Yeah, I mean, look, we spoke about Chelsea. If you can spend a lot of money on, Cunha and Mbeumo, they're great. But still, the striker situation, the goalkeeper situation is there. Man United's two best players last season were Ahmad and Bruno. What position did they play? 10. And then you go sign 2 10s, so Bruno has to play a bit deeper. They had other issues in terms of the goalkeeper and the striker, which they probably could address, but they wanted to sign 10s that could score goals because they thought that could get them further up the table rather than keep more clean sheets. So I can understand the logic, but they had other needs, and I think they anticipate starting this season better. So I think they'll make a change in the goalkeeper position. I don't think Bayender will play. I think he was partly at fault for 2 goals against Brentford.
Charlie, what difference does it make in that back line, in the defence, if you know that you've got a world-class goalkeeper? If they manage to get past the back line, he is that last line.
Yeah, it's massive to have a goalkeeper behind you that you can trust, and you think that he can bail us out if anything goes wrong. If there's a shot on goal, he can maybe save it, pull off a worldie, and like you said, it gives the whole setup a lot more comfortable and helps you out, doesn't it, as a player?
Yeah, I mean, you need. Every great team's had a world-class goal. You look at, any team in this division, whether it's Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United. I think back to my United team, Edwin van der Sar. You could look back and he didn't have much to do, but when he did, he made saves. And I think that is the test. And that's why I think the position is up for grabs. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ruben made a change back there just to kind of get a bit of energy into the team.
It's Ruben Amorim's 50th game in charge of Manchester United, and it's not going to be an easy one at all. Sunderland have made a remarkable start to the season.
They really have. They've surprised a lot of people. It's a club that's come up, and notoriously over the last few years, it's normally clubs that come up go straight back down again. But they've made a great start, and they're going to go to Man United full of confidence and looking to upset Ruben Amorim's 50th game.
Yeah, and for Sunderland, It's such an interesting one because we just talked earlier about players not necessarily settling in straight away to the Premier League, settling in straight away to a new team. Sunderland bought a host of new players, changed nearly the whole team, and yet they are doing so well.
Yeah, but the goalkeeper's fantastic. Yeah. He's made some brilliant saves. I think they've conceded the second fewest goals in the whole division, which is rare, for a promoted team. They signed Granit Xhaka. We spoke about experience for a team. That's a huge plus, and they got some firepower in this team. So I love the setup of it. They got some ball players in wide areas, got a brilliant goalkeeper, and they have a clear identity. We've seen teams come up and play silly football, try and all this possession out football, Premier League teams, ridiculous. Defend well like they do. They've only conceded 4 goals. Set pieces, hit teams on the counter-attack, and Sunderland have been a breath of fresh air. I think the team's promoter put on a clinic on how to get relegated again. Sunderland are looking to break that trend.
Yeah, I think so. I think all the teams that have come up have given themselves, have given the rest of the league something to think about so far this season. What's been most impressive for you about them?
I think the way that they've created the goals, I think they're not afraid to put crosses in the box. They're not afraid to put people in the box. And we just saw that they've scored a lot of headed goals in a lot of set pieces. They're not shying in going forward, and they do their defensive work really well. And it's like they're set up to they've got the pace on the counter attack, but they also got the creativity and the know-how of having that Granit Xhaka in there who can play them balls in behind, or the set piece delivery for headed goals.
Yeah, just looking at Sunderland's start to the season, 3 wins from their opening 6. Let's take a look at where that ranks for them. There you go. It's 3rd in terms of best starts to the Premier League after 6 matches. Of course, Sunderland with 11 points. That is just amazing. 25-26 of newly promoted sides. It really is impressive. And, to start the season like this, if you expect them to be battling it out a little bit later on, getting those points sets them up for maybe a different goal than what some of us expected when they came back into the Premier League.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem with teams that get promoted. They dominated in the Championship, playing really nice football, and then they come up and try and do the same. We've seen Burnley do it, Norwich, so it doesn't work. You've got to find a way to be successful in this division because you keep conceding goals, losing games, not having the ball, and confidence gradually starts to go down, and you're relegated, almost by January. I think Thunder thought, no, forget that. We're going to defend well, be solid, and they have a clear identity. And actually, the manager, the club, everybody, they've done a fantastic job of, obviously they got promoted, but they had to sign a lot of players. I think it was 15 players they brought in, quality, experience. The goalkeeper has been excellent. And that's why this game at Old Trafford, this is the icing on the cake for them. Can they go there and impose themselves on a United team that's really struggled, that doesn't defend great? And Sunderland, no, they'll get chances. They just have to be efficient.
Yeah, just mentioning Sunderland's record at United at Old Trafford, it hasn't been great. Just 1 win in 31 matches in all competitions. How much does that play on your mind as a player going to a stadium where you haven't done well? Or do you think there'll be an element of, well, we can change this is the time?
I think it's definitely that. I think, they can change it. I don't think many of the players will probably know about that stat, and I don't think the manager will want them to know about that stat. But like Owen says, I think they have a clear identity of the way that they want to play. But first and foremost, they need the points on the board. The objective is still to get as many points as they can on that board as quickly as possible. And then their creativity, their style kind of comes from there. And I think they've started the season really well. And I do think they're going to give Man United a tough game.
Yeah, as you mentioned, a tough game for Manchester United. It all seems like Sunderland's organisation, the fact that they don't give many games away, means a tough afternoon in store for United. How can they get something from that game, do you think?
Just got to defend better. That they have to defend better. Obviously, the goalkeeper is a big one. I thought Šeško played okay in the game against Bedford. That was probably the only positive. But I think Cunha and Mbeumo. I'd love to see Bruno play as a number 10 with Cunha. Maybe play Mbeumo through the middle. I think that front three could score goals. But I think still, I want to see Kobbie Mainoo into this midfield. I don't know how he doesn't get a game. Every time he comes on, he's Man United's best player, but he doesn't really fit this shape. So I'd love to see Kobbie play. But they need to defend better and find a way to find some structure. Goalkeeper, midfield. I mean, it sounds like a lot of issues here, what I'm saying. But
I know. We got to find.
I'm trying to be positive.
We got to find a petition for you to sign for Kobbie Mainoo to start every time I hear you talk about United.
I love watching him play. I don't know why he doesn't play, but sounds like they have a lot of issues. I was trying to be more positive about Man United, but
It's rough at the moment, to be honest. We
rough,
don't
yeah.
blame you. Yeah, we'll find a petition during the break because Man United, Sunderland.
so I have to do this one.
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, they have to win eventually. I'm going to go 2-1 Man United, but somehow.
I think I agree. Yeah, I think they have to win against Sunderland, and I think Sunderland's record just speaks for itself, and I do think they're going to win 2-1.